Okay, we're back. No, we're not back. We're doing these back to back to back. And the reason why, Courtney has one of my favorite books in her hand. Courtney, put that book up. Yes, The Obstacle is the Way. All right, everybody, this is a new series that we're doing. Courtney and I are going to do some book reviews that will help you be great at inventing, maybe just at life, but how to improve yourself. Okay, first of all, Courtney, I like to read a lot of self-help books, right? And I don't know if you do. Do you read those too?
I read self-help books all the time.
All right. Okay. I do too. And some people don't understand it. I don't get it. I like it. I think it's important. And I found this one author that wrote this first book called Trust Me, I'm Lying. And I read it years and years ago, and it was quite disturbing because it talked about Ryan Holiday is the author of The Obstacle is the Way, and he's also the author of this book called Trust Me, I'm Lying. And he wrote that first book because he was working at this apparel company, and he was talking about everything on the internet was just not true and how you could twist it. And it's kind of funny that he wrote it so many years ago and what's happening today about not trusting what you're seeing. But he switched gears a little bit, and he started writing these books, such as The Obstacle is the Way, and I read it. And his style has changed a little bit. And size of the books are all about the same, which is kind of interesting. But I want to talk about one book that I read that I probably use the things in that book each and every day.
Wow.
I don't know of any book that does that. I don't know of any. I don't. So, and I want to talk a little bit big picture about that because you read The Obstacle Away too.
Yes.
Okay. I do think books come to you at a certain time. And if you're open to it, they have a whole different meaning. Okay.
I agree.
And maybe you're reading at the time where it didn't mean anything. So, but I read that book when I was having difficulties with my partner. Everyone knows my partner's Andrew. God, I'm really going to be telling a story here. and we weren't seeing eye to eye on some stuff, and we were kind of fighting a little bit. And I read this book, and it helped me understand that anytime we were having an argument, that was an obstacle. Mm. And it taught me that if I look at that a little differently, that obstacle could probably be an opportunity. Wow, that's a really different way of looking at it, right?
Very.
Because there's obstacles in everything we do every single day we're alive. There's something in front of you that drives you out of your mind. I don't care. So he talked about, and everybody, the reason why this book is so powerful for me, doing all the things I'm doing, I'm constantly seeing problems, and I think everybody is too, and especially working with people, or maybe, with your spouse or your boyfriend, your girlfriend, I don't care what it is. How do you deal with the problems? And what I liked about it was looking at those problems in such a way that you might be able to solve it by looking at it, by treating it differently. Not as a problem, but as maybe that's an opportunity to see something differently and to change, and maybe that obstacle could be a great opportunity for greatness. Now, I want to give an example of this too. If someone complains about something you did, okay, and if you look at it as a complaint, you might say, the person's crazy, and go ahead, and you bothered me. Or maybe you looked at it and you said, there's a problem here. And maybe that person, maybe I disagree with it, but from that person, they have a certain perspective. And if I can really put myself in their shoes and look at it from their perspective, and then go back and find a way to talk about that issue and solve that issue, that person has become a friend, a fan for life almost. So those obstacles are just ways for you to be great at something. I never really looked at it that way.
I love that. I think that's super powerful. And I'll also say that a lot of students, as they're pitching their products, a lot of them see lots of obstacles, and they really are just mere opportunities. Just that shift is everything from failing inventor to successful inventor, from obstacle to opportunity, makes all the difference.
Well, I'm glad you applied it to that, because when you submit an idea to a company, they're going to come back with a few things that probably aren't right. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So if you're not open to it, okay.
You should probably get out of this industry if you're not open to it.
You should probably run. But if you look at that as saying, okay, that's an obstacle, how can I look at it differently and come back with the solution and make that great? I could actually make that better by looking at it that way. So is it really an obstacle or is it an opportunity?
Always an opportunity.
Yeah. And I think so when those problems come up, I think you should look at it, oh boy, not like, oh, but almost like, okay, all right, this is great. I have an opportunity to do something great. So that's why I really like that book.
I love that. It's just a perspective shift as well, because a lot of people get frustrated, just mentally and emotionally very frustrated at that, whether we're talking about inventing or, like you said, just relationships in general. But if you just change and turn that little frustration to potential happiness of a way to move forward, game changer.
How about, I'm really glad you said that, because some things happen during the day where you might want to shut something down or not deal with somebody. And maybe that's an opportunity. That's really a great opportunity, but for some reason you're looking at it the wrong way and you walk away from it. Because I saw that happen to me recently too, in a situation that something didn't feel right, so I walked away, but I came back to it and it turned out to be something pretty good. I'm really glad I just didn't walk away from it. What about reading that too, Courtney? Because sometimes when you get a response, are you really looking at it the right way? Because I know you coach, you have your own, you're coaching our students, you have your own projects. Are some of the students reading some of that feedback the wrong way?
1,000%. And I'm so glad you mentioned that, Stephen, because for the past probably 2 or 3 weeks, I've been having so much more deeper conversations with students to explain there's so many nuances to pitching. We can't just, there's so much there. And so if you just assume they said no, great. I don't know. Wait. We got to talk about that no. What kind of no is that? Because there's many different kinds of no's, and we're not closing a door. Every no, N-O, stands for next opportunity. So we got to start thinking about that acronym of N-O, no, for next opportunity, and know that is the first time that the door is opened, not closed.
Well, that is brilliant, because I always tell everybody, if you don't have a coach behind you or someone that understands how to read between the lines or look at that situation, you go, that's not what you think that is. You think you just got kicked to the curb when no. There's an opportunity here. You just need to come back to respond to it differently.
Right. Yep.
I'm glad you said that, because I see that all the time with people. They get a little frustrated because they're not quite sure how to even interpret the conversation because they haven't done it before.
Yeah, and that takes skill. I mean, that takes an acquired skill. That's why it can be really helpful to have that coach instead of just slowly close all those doors that they could have been the reason why you get a deal. In fact, that happened to me on my very first licensing deal. They said that they were not interested, and they said maybe come back in 6 months. And what did I do? I came back in 6 months. I thought it was a closed door. I forgot it was 6 months. I remembered way later, about 7 months out, of, maybe I should reach back out to them. And I got to deal with them.
Well, that brings me back to a situation that you and I were talking about, where a situation wasn't that positive, and you were a little offended by it, and you should have been, because it was kind of rude.
Yep.
And I said, Courtney, don't respond to that, right? Look at it a little differently and respond to it differently, because you don't know what's going on in his mind. But if you respond to it differently, you haven't closed that door, and that door didn't close.
No, it didn't. In fact, it continued to get wider.
Yeah. That was it. I forgot all about that. Okay, everybody, this is Stephen King. Courtney, We are doing book reviews, and hold up that book one more time. Okay, there it is, you guys. The Obstacle is the Way. It is. It's the way for greatness. I love it. Ryan Holiday. Get it. It's one of my favorite. I think if you embrace it at the right time, everything you do during the day, you'll be looking at it differently, and it's going to change your life. Hey, this is Stephen Key. I'll see you next time.